Rhetorical fallacies, persuasion in text and media. What are media messages? A media message is a message spread through mass communication. Mass means a lot, such as radio, television, newspapers, and magazines. They're created to reach a large number of people all at once, and they usually appeal to the emotions of the audience. How do media messages persuade you? All media messages try to persuade you by using implicit or explicit messages. Explicit messages in media are clearly stated, obvious messages, and implicit messages are other things that might be less obvious, more like hidden messages. Some examples are, in an explicit message, a TV commercial voice might say, "This shampoo will make your hair look smooth and shiny." In an implicit message commercial, every one of the beautiful models in the commercial for the shampoo will have long, shiny, curly hair, but they won't actually say it. Another example is a magazine ad for a beauty product might claim great skin plus SPF in their product. In an implicit message commercial of that type, the model pictured in the ad with a focus on anti-aging beauty products looks to be about 25 years old, but they're trying to pass her off as being a lot older because they want you to believe that their products work. Another one might be that in a TV commercial, the viewer is asked to donate money to save the animals and stop animal cruelty. So they're explicitly asking you for the money and they're explicitly telling you that animals are being abused in some way. In an implicit message, there's a picture of a captive bear in a cage wearing a harness and muzzle. They don't actually say that the bear is being abused, but you can tell from the picture that it is. Persuasion will begin with your central argument, also called the claim. This is the main point or argument that the author is trying to make. Much like in the articles that we read, there was a claim in the Yes article that warning labels should be placed on sugary drinks. The claim in the No article was that warning labels should not be placed on sugary drinks because no one reads them anyway. This is the central idea that the speaker wants to persuade the audience to agree with. A rhetorical fallacy is a method that they will use to persuade you or convince you to agree with whatever it is that they're trying to tell you. Rhetorical fallacies are errors that occur in arguments. Authors use fallacies as a trick when writing persuasively. They are used to support the claim, and they're mostly used in speeches and editorials rather than actual media. Types of rhetorical fallacies that are often used are exaggeration, categorical claim, stereotype or overgeneralization, ad hominem attack, and there are many more, but we're just going to focus on these. Now remember, a persuasive text is one in which the author tries to convince readers to think or act in a certain way. Authors may use exaggeration or an overstatement of the truth that is meant to get a reaction. When an author says something about one group or thing and implies or hints that it represents all those people or things, she is making a categorical claim. A stereotype is an idea about someone or something held in common by many people, which is often too simple and implies a prejudiced attitude. Another form of persuasion is ad hominem attack, aimed to sway people's opinions by attacking an opponent's character, a personal attack, rather than the topic. Most often, you will see ad hominem argument used in media messages such as television commercials and print advertisements. So an example of an exaggeration. In the image on the left, you go to a friend's house and they're like, "Sorry, the house is such a mess." If you look at that image, you can see the house is pristine. It's very clean. They're over exaggerating what a mess the house might be. And by doing that, they're drawing attention to how nice their house looks. So it's like a trick. In the image on the right hand side, you see examples of women's stuff and men's stuff. Um, in the women's example, there's a loaded closet full of stuff, and she's saying, I have nothing to wear. And the guy has a stack of games, and he's saying, I have nothing to play. Clearly, both of them have plenty, but they're over exaggerating what it is that they have or don't have in their closet. And instead, what it does is make the viewer pay more attention to what they do have. In a categorical claim, you kind of relate things just because they're in the same category. So the root in categorical claim is category. So you're kind of lumping everything into one category. For example, she writes a lot in her journal. A person who writes a lot is certain to be a good writer. Therefore, she must be a good writer. So you're putting this person in the category of being a good writer just because you see them write in their journal all the time. Another one, Chihuahuas are good inside dogs. Rottweilers are dogs. Therefore, Rottweilers would be good inside dogs too. Just because a Chihuahua is a good inside dog and a Rottweiler is a dog does not mean that a Rottweiler is going to be a good inside dog too. You can't just put them in the same category because they're both dogs. An overgeneralization or stereotyping occurs when a statement is too broad. Overgeneralizations often occur when you use words like everyone, no one, always, never, best, worst. That's why you really should try to stay away from those types of words. For example, a generalization or a stereotype is that cops like donuts. Another one could be that everyone who lives in the South likes warm weather, or men will always vote for a male a presidential candidate over a female one. There's a lot of ways that you can overgeneralize or stereotype people. You really don't want to do this because it's offensive. Usually this comes from a place of prejudice or maybe bias or ignorance. You want to stay away from stereotyping people. The ad hominem attack is probably the one that you see the most common. This is when instead of addressing the topic directly, you just insult the other person. So, I might say something like, let's talk about logical fallacies. And you say, no, your face is a logical fallacy. You're trying to pick a fight with me so that we can avoid talking about the actual issue. Anytime you see someone trolling somebody on Twitter or on Instagram, just leaving hateful comments, that would be an example of an ad hominem attack. You're just abusing the other person. Now make sure that you have completed all the blanks on your handout. And now I want you to take the information that you've gotten from the lesson and attempt the guided practice portion of your handout. It says, think about persuasion, then circle the correct answer for each question. Number 1, if a politician claims that his or her opponent is lazy in an advertisement, that politician is using exaggeration, ad hominem, stereotype, or categorical claim. And if you're unsure, go back to the part where I'm talking about those and rewatch it. In example 2, if an author writes a persuasive text claiming that a town park is entirely covered with trash and the description is not true, the author is using exaggeration, ad hominem attack, stereotype, or categorical claim. Circle the best answer. So if for number 1, a politician claims his or her opponent is lazy, that would be an example of an ad hominem attack. An ad hominem attack is when you are insulting the other person. In example 2, if an author writes a persuasive text claiming that a town is entirely covered with trash, and that's not true, the author is using exaggeration. They are over exaggerating how dirty the town park is because they want to make a point of some kind. Now, read this drama. Remember that dramas are going to include things like stage directions as given here. This was the person talking. This is dialogue. And then complete the activity. So the setting is sounds of thunder are heard. A television reporter stands alone in an empty prairie with gray and white clouds above. Television reporter, in a concerned voice. We do not always know when storms will happen. Last year, 1 out of every 5 people affected by a major storm did not have adequate supplies such as water and batteries on hand. The town of San Eduardo, Texas, was almost wiped off the map this year by a serious storm. Storms do not ask if you are ready or not. They strike without asking questions. Use the text above to answer the following questions. Put an X by the correct answer for each question.